There's something unique about those who grew up in the 1970s. Psychology suggests your brain developed during a rare evolutionary window, a time of total freedom combined with genuine responsibility. And here's what's interesting. Many who grew up in that era look at today's generation and simply smile, not with malice, but with the quiet knowledge of having lived through something that can never be recreated. A time so free, so unstructured, that decades later they still say things like, "I wish I could go back and stay there. We really didn't know how good we had it." Or, to put it perfectly, we grew up on hose water. We were feral, and it was glorious. So what made the 70s so special? And more importantly, what did it do to your brain that makes you different today? The first trait is what researchers call self-directed problem solving. And it started with one phrase every 70s kid heard: "Go find something to do, or I'll find something for you to do." You knew exactly what that meant. If you dared say you were bored, suddenly you were folding laundry or sweeping floors. So you learned fast, figure it out yourself. Studies on unstructured childhood show that kids who had to create their own entertainment developed stronger executive function and creativity. You weren't handed activities. You weren't scheduled. You had to invent your entire day from nothing. This is why you devoured books, explored on your bike for hours, or spent afternoons in the woods building forts. Your brain learned something modern childhoods often skip: how to generate purpose from emptiness. Now, that explains your creativity, but it doesn't explain why you seem almost supernaturally calm in chaos. That comes from the next trait: adaptive risk calibration. You grew up climbing trees that were definitely too high, riding bikes without helmets, playing with firecrackers, throwing rocks. That was your internet. Every scraped knee, every close call, taught your nervous system something crucial. Developmental psychology research shows that children who experienced measured physical risk in play developed better threat assessment and lower baseline anxiety as adults. Your brain learned the difference between actual danger and manageable risk by living it, not by watching it on a screen or having a parent intervene. You broke bones. You got scars. And each one felt like a story, a medal of honor. This is why you can walk into a crisis and just start solving it while everyone else is panicking. But here's where it gets deeper, and this is something many younger generations may never fully grasp. You carry what researchers call comfortable solitude capacity. You spend hours in your room listening to records. You lay in the grass just talking. You explored alone, not because you were lonely, but because there was no screen demanding your attention every 3 seconds. Studies on pre-digital childhoods found that people who grew up before constant connectivity show significantly less anxiety when alone with their thoughts. In fact, recent research had participants choose mild electric shocks over sitting quietly for 15 minutes. You'd probably find that ridiculous. You learned early, boredom isn't an emergency. Your brain never developed the addiction to constant stimulation that defines modern life. This is why you can wait in a long line without losing your mind. The fourth trait is analog patience, and it shaped you in ways you might not even realize. You waited for your favorite show once a week. No binge watching. You took photos and waited days to see if they turned out. If you wanted to talk to someone, you memorized their number, called, and hoped they were home. Research on delayed gratification shows that people who grew up waiting develop better impulse control, healthier relationships, and greater career resilience. Your entire childhood was a masterclass in patience, a skill modern life actively dismantles. This is why instant gratification doesn't satisfy you the way it might for younger generations. And finally, the trait that ties it all together: unsupervised autonomy wiring. At 8 years old, you left the house in the morning with one rule: be back when the streetlights come on. Nobody knew exactly where you were. Nobody tracked you. You rode bikes to creeks miles away, played in unknown woods, visited far-off neighborhoods. And sometimes, a stranger might offer you lemonade and a sandwich after you'd played all day in a creek. Today, that might trigger a police call. Back then, it was normal. Studies show that children given freedom of movement without constant supervision develop stronger internal motivation and sharper decision-making skills. You had to assess situations, make judgment calls, and handle consequences yourself. Your parents weren't your buddies. They were the authority, and they trusted you to be competent. This is why you can plan, adapt, and think critically without needing external guidance. So every time you look at today's world and feel slightly out of place, Remember this. You're not outdated. You're carrying forward capabilities that are quietly going extinct. The independence that looks like detachment, that's competence. The comfort with silence that looks antisocial, that's depth. The ability to wait that looks like apathy, that's discipline. You survived a childhood that would give modern parents anxiety, and it didn't break you. It built you. As many from that time say, we lived through the best decade to be a kid. And they're right. For a brief moment in history, childhood was both completely free and genuinely formative. You experienced a world where kids were civilized and feral at the same time. If you're a 70s kid and believe it was the best era to grow up, drop a comment below. And if you appreciate research-backed content that explores who we really are and why, hit subscribe and join our community. We're just getting started.